Welcome to another conversation in People in Fundraising. This podcast features interviews with nonprofit professionals who discuss their career journeys, lessons learned, and enthusiasm for working in fundraising. And here is your host, the founder of People in Fundraising, Tim Wilson.
Good morning, everyone. Today is Wednesday, November 13th, 2024, and this is another episode in People in Fundraising conversation series that's almost 3 years old now. And today I'm very excited to welcome Jenn Klein to our podcast. Jenn, good morning, good afternoon. Nice to see you again.
Tim, it's so great to see you again. I'm happy to chat, and I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much.
Yes, my pleasure. Jenn was very kind enough about almost, 18 months ago to have me on your podcast. And it was a moment where I'm like, holy cow, like people want to hear my story. I felt very flattered and honored. And so it's a real pleasure for me to turn the tables and give you the time and the spotlight today. So thank you for your preparation. And what would you like our audience to know about you before we get into the questionnaire, please?
So I'm Jenn Klein. I've been fundraising for 20 years now, 20 years in 2025. So I'm really excited about that anniversary. I just call it fundraising. I love fundraising. It's been a joy of my career. I'm also a certified fundraising executive. I became a certified health coach about 4 years ago. So I kind of will get into the blend of those interesting pursuits of mine. And I'm an author of the book, Giving is Selfish. As you said, I'm a podcaster of the podcast, You Are a Philanthropist. I also named my company, You Are a Philanthropist, and have merchandise that celebrates philanthropy. So I am a lover of mankind, as are most of your listeners and yourself.
Yes, thank you for that explanation. Jenn, if people want to buy your book or the merchandise you've talked about, where could they find that website, please?
My website is yourare, a philanthropist.com. And my book is exclusively on Amazon at the moment.
Terrific. Thank you very much. Well, I'm very excited to talk with you today because you have such a wide range of pursuits within the fundraising field that you just articulated right there. So let's get into the questionnaire. Please tell us in about 5 minutes how you entered the nonprofit world, Jenn.
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm so excited that the tables are turned on me to be able to talk about that. It is something I talked about in my book a little bit. There were just kind of seeds planted along the way, going back to my childhood, when my parents would give in the offering plate at church. And I went into the youth group as a teenager and started doing painting of summer camps, Christmas caroling for the elderly, and raising money for poverty alleviation. And those were, really significant part of my childhood that I enjoyed. And my parents are great examples of philanthropists. They give to their church and to their Rotary International and the school board. So I just had really good examples growing up.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited that when I started to develop my my career path, I just said I wanted to help people, and I didn't have a direction going into college or after college. And thankfully, I just followed my pursuits, my passions, and that was a double major in English and psychology.
Okay.
And I thought maybe I would be a marriage and family therapist. Like I said, I really wanted to help people.
Yeah.
But someone ended up saying to me, "Oh, you're an English major. You should do some grant writing."
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so I started to volunteer for the local YMCA as a grant writer and helping them with their database, and it turned into a job right out of graduation.
Oh, nice. Excellent. And I'm curious, on the path since then, have you worked in institutional fundraising? Have you always been sort of, you know, on your own, in your own shop, consulting?
Yeah, great question. So I was started at the YMCA. I moved into education for about 7 years.
Okay,
And when I had my child, my first child, kind of like my life just changed as it
sure.
does for everyone.
Yeah,
And I just started to shift into wanting to stay home with my child.
yeah,
And that was really, if that hadn't have happened, I would not have started my business, You Are a Philanthropist. So I really credit this significant change in my life to be able to pursue this passion of spreading the joy of philanthropy to everyone.
yeah. I love that. I love that, you had a pivotal moment in your personal life that had a significant ripple effect in your career as well. And to be able to balance those must be really rewarding, I imagine.
Yes, I talk about it in my book, just about how that moment of realizing I needed to leave my career was for me, because I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I called it fundraising. And there just came a point where I was very tired, and with those, late nights and early mornings. And I decided it was in the best interest of my family to take time off. And that turned into a new business.
Yeah.
Really, I just started blogging at first.
Okay.
And that turned into, um, you know, more volunteering I added to my plate, because I loved to do that.
Yeah.
And and then I started podcasting,
Okay.
and that was into the development of my company. Like I said, I started the t-shirts early on as well. I really felt like it could spread the message about how fun and exciting philanthropy is.
Sure.
And so the majority of my merchandise has the word philanthropist on it.
Okay.
And at the time, I really wanted to break down this barrier between the Bill and Melinda Gates
Uh-huh.
and the average American.
Sure.
And so I wanted to kind of like redefine what I felt like it meant to be a philanthropist.
Yeah.
And as I said, it by definition means lover of mankind.
Yes.
It doesn't say, oh, you have to give $1 billion. So I really wanted to break down the barrier
Yeah.
for the average American, to because I felt like, and I talk about it in my book, that when you have like a growth mindset, you get over this hump of saying, oh, I can't make a difference in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not doing enough. I don't want people to have those negative thoughts to say I'm not making a difference. I really want people to be empowered. And I think that's how, as fundraisers, that's our job, is to get
Hmm.
people excited and empowered. And I think this book is for really a lot of people who want to help people get into the fundraising space and the philanthropy space, whether that be through volunteerism or donations, or
Yeah.
even just everyday acts of kindness. Today is actually World Kindness Day.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh,
So it's very fitting to be chatting with you today, and on this special day where we remember how important it is to be giving to others.
absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for that tie-in to, International Kindness Day. That's awesome. Um, so Jen, you've mentioned your book a little bit in that intro, and as you said, it's over your shoulder there. Um, it was published about a year ago, so congratulations. Like that, I mean that in itself, like putting it together, getting it published, that's awesome. I would
Thank you.
love to know, a little bit about, and you talked about sort of the reasons why you wanted to write the book and the audience for it. Um, what impact did you hope that it would make in readers' professional and personal experience. And again, you're talking about people new to the field, people that are volunteers, they're not working in it as a job, people that are donors and maybe approaching philanthropy with maybe a jaded perspective. So, the impact, please. I'd love to hear that.
I really wanted to increase the statistic that 25% of Americans volunteer.
Yeah.
I thought that was low.
Yeah.
And I thought we could be doing more. And so going back to what I was saying about the barrier that we have of this mindset that this negative mindset is, well, why aren't more Americans volunteering? We're a very generous country. We are kind. I really wanted to see what we could accomplish kind of worldwide, and what we could do more to help people if that number was increased. I felt like at the time that I couldn't increase because I didn't have $1 billion.
Yeah.
I couldn't increase the amount of money that we collectively give.
Yeah.
But I felt like starting the conversation of reminding people about how fun and important it is to just be doing things in our everyday lives.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I remember a while ago, I was talking to a former boss. I live in Utah, which is one of the most generous states in the country in terms of donating and volunteering. And I'm very active in my church, and I know that you're a person of faith as well. And so my boss was like, and she's from a different state, and she's like, well, how are you getting involved in your community, Tim? Like, where do you volunteer? And I mentioned, like, I'd gone to a soup kitchen with my family and, here and there. And she's like, yeah, but you're also very active in your church. And honestly, like, I didn't consider that volunteering. I don't even know why. It just didn't occur to me to think about, the hours I put in, as a youth Sunday school teacher or an adult teacher. I stupidly, I don't know, it didn't occur to me to consider that volunteering. So I think, maybe to your point, Jenn, about the statistic, how do we increase it? I'm an example of that. Like, even just like taking a step back to think, no, examine your life. Like, that statistic could be higher and probably is higher. So,
Yeah, I hope it is. I talk about a few things in my book to excite and encourage people about giving. And I wanted to, like I said, expand this philanthropist word.
yeah.
And I learned in my health coaching career that there is something scientifically called the helper's high. And so that was kind of the convergence of my two passions.
Yeah.
And the helper's high it's proven, and I don't think we talk about this enough in fundraising circles. It's proven that giving back lowers your blood pressure. Isn't that fascinating?
That is.
It charges up your endorphins in your mind.
Yeah.
You have stronger social connections.
Yes.
It helps with loneliness.
Sure.
And so there's all these benefits personally to not just the giver, and not just to the receiver, but to the giver. Yeah. And that's why I called the book Giving is Selfish. It's just a fun thing to be saying, because I like to say it boomerangs back to us.
Yes. Yeah.
And I like to say we're hardwired by God to give. There's something inside of us that benefits ourselves.
Yes.
About giving. And so, I do think we can expand, like you said, what volunteerism is and ways to give. So I talk about 3 areas that I feel we can expand philanthropy to, which is forgiving. I mean, it's in the word, it's a gift.
Yeah.
Gift to ourselves, gift to others. I talk about Thanksgiving, the gratitude that we can give to others. And gratitude actually means a readiness to return kindness.
Oh, wow. I didn't know
Yeah.
that. Okay.
Yeah. So there's this gift that you're giving people, but and to yourself with practicing gratitude. I actually have been, my word of the year this year was gratitude. And I wrote in a
Mm.
gratitude journal almost every day. And I asked my kids what they're grateful for too. It's a
Yeah,
way to like reframe, just your thoughts and
sure.
focus. And the third gift I talk about is caregiving,
Mm.
because I learned through early motherhood that giving care to your children is the one of the best ways to put goodness into the world. You're raising the next generation.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
philanthropy starts at home.
Yes. Mm. Yeah, I like that.
I know you have 4 children. I have 2 now.
Yeah.
And like you said, we're both setting the example for them, like my parents did for me, and
Yes.
passing on that legacy of giving
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love those. The forgiving, the Thanksgiving,
and caregiving.
and caregiving. Man, those are great themes. I like that.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I wonder, we get into the next question here, Jen. Um, you being, as you mentioned, a certified health coach as well. So as you talk about caregiving and forgiving, I just have to think that there are intersections and convergences with your role as a certified health coach, being a parent, mother, spouse, the work you, again, the varied work you do if you are a philanthropist. Um, so talk about sort of, what those intersections may be, please, and how that fuels you, um, maybe when there is a down day or like maybe you're feeling burned out. How do those intersections recharge you?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think I learned through early motherhood that I needed to give to myself,
Yeah. Yeah.
because those early mornings and late nights were exhausting. And everybody knows when you don't sleep good, like you're not as nice as you normally are. So I learned early on the importance of sleep and rest.
Yeah.
And those things really helped me realize how I needed to take care of myself. And so writing in your gratitude journal is a way to give to yourself.
Yeah.
You think differently and you think more positively. And there's the joys of parenting. For me, like it's just a beautiful thing to watch them grow, and the things they say and how kind they are. I have actually gotten a lot of compliments lately about how kind my children are.
Awesome. That's great.
Yeah, so that's a blessing to me watching them grow. They're 9 and 7 now.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. So I I learned that I needed to forgive others, forgive myself,
Sure.
in my faith journey, how important that is. The God's love and his forgiveness of me as well.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my faith journey also kind of inspired me to write about philanthropy and giving.
Oh, interesting. Tell
Yeah.
us about that, please.
Well, I don't think I would have. I went to a Christian college,
Okay.
so I spent 4 years, going to church on the weekends
Uh-huh.
and having convocations in a chapel that
Nice.
regularly talk about faith. And I had worship services on Sunday nights called catacombs, where there was no music; it was just voices in this beautiful church.
Yeah.
And that foundation of learning more about my faith, my Christian faith, really helped me be in this. We called it the Gordon bubble,
Mm.
really be in this safe place of,
Yeah.
faith. And I I would not have written this book had it not been for my faith, because
Mm.
God has brought me through so much. And in this 20 years, I remember I used to be frustrated that I didn't know what my calling was. I couldn't
Mm.
figure it out. Like I went in undecided to college. I came out largely undecided, and that frustrated me.
Mm.
But then I realized along the way I have found my calling, and my calling is my company. You Are a Philanthropist.
Yes. Yeah.
And, that's my vocation. But there's nothing more important to me than motherhood.
Hmm.
I'm sure you can relate as a dad. Um,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah. So that is my primary way of giving. Is I'm a soccer coach.
Uh-huh.
I'm a basketball coach. I,
Okay.
I teach the kids to give to the local food pantry.
Hmm.
Um, and I like to think I teach them about kindness. Like I said, I loved hearing that they're kind to their friends.
Yeah, that's huge. That's great. And, testament to your influence and guidance on them, that other adults are recognizing it and kindly giving you that feedback.
Thank you. It's nice to
Yeah,
be back. That's a gift to me when someone compliments you on your children.
absolutely. Absolutely. On the subject of faith, and you've talked about your faith a bit. And as you were talking, Jen, I was reminded of something that my family did on Monday night. In our church, Monday is our family night, and it's a time to be together. And so we watched. I don't. Do you have you heard or watched the mini series The Chosen?
I have not watched it, but I know what you're talking about.
Okay. Yeah. So the creator, Dallas Jenkins, I I think he's an evangelical Christian. I'm not exactly sure denomination, but he's recently spoke at Brigham Young University, which is the Mormon university here in Utah, south of me. Um, and as he was talking about being a movie producer and the struggle that he had to break into it, to launch something that had staying power and would be, quote, popular. Um, he mentioned something that I think, may resonate with a lot of people that work in philanthropy, because we're aware of the many different needs in our society. And, as you talked about, being a philanthropist is, a lover of mankind. How can we help other people? So Dallas Jenkins said that at some point, he had produced a movie. It went into the theaters, totally bombed. And he and his wife were just so dejected. This is before the pandemic. And um, as they were doing their scripture reading, they felt impressed that um, it wasn't for them to feed everyone, it was to provide the loaves and fishes. And so that's why I have this print up here of Jesus feeding, so it's Jesus with the fishers, which is also in The Chosen. There's a great scene in that show. And so, when he said that, your job is not to feed everyone, it's just to use the resources you can have access to, and to help other people. I think that resonated a lot with me, with my role in philanthropy, but also my role as a parent and someone that is aware of the needs in our community. So I just wanted to share that with you. That was just an insight that I thought there's some good tie-in there.
Yeah, one of my favorite quotes is actually from Mother Teresa. It's like, if you can't feed 100 people, then feed just one.
Yeah. Yes.
So it really helps me get perspective on what I'm doing and how I define impact. And I'd love to make a global impact, but right now I'm just, well, that I'll say two things about that. In my personal life, I feel like I'm making just a corner of my world through my volunteerism.
Yeah.
Um, you know, impactful.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
but I was just in my statistics on my website the other day, and I learned that there's been people from 158 countries who have been to my website.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah,
So you are having that global reach.
I am.
Yeah,
Feel very blessed.
that's wonderful. I'm glad to hear that. Um, let's talk about that as a next question. Your website where you host your podcast interviews and other resources. Um, I'm curious. I don't know if we really touched on you. You certainly talked about the impetus for the book, and I appreciate that. Um, I'm not sure if we talked really about sort of how the podcast idea came to be a significant piece of this overall You Are a Philanthropist. So, talk about the roots of that, and then I'd love to get into some logistics as a fellow podcast host with you, please.
So I actually was asked to be on a live radio show.
Oh, okay.
And I guess people listened to it and enjoyed it and said, you should really create a podcast because it's resonating with people hearing stories that are inspiring. And so I just, again, it was just along that path. It was just the next step that seemed good for me.
Yeah.
And so now I have 50 episodes.
Awesome.
Thank you. And I publish it when I can.
Uh-huh.
I publish it in seasons. And so I'm coming up on my fourth season.
Terrific.
Thank you. And yeah, it's been about almost 4 years now. So
Oh,
um, about one a year, one season a year, and it's really a joy of mine. I get so much just by hearing people's stories, as I
yeah.
know you do too.
Yeah.
And I love hearing again like the impact people are having in their corner of the world.
Yeah.
And I purposefully seek out people who are not like Bill and Melinda Gates. Even though my podcast title is You Are a Philanthropist, I've never emailed Melinda Gates and said, will you be on the show? I don't think she would be on it, but um, I really want to be talking to people who are either fundraisers or volunteers or acting in kind ways to others. And so that's my mission of my podcast is to
Mm,
hear the stories. I do audio, in
that's
part
great.
because I don't have the technical abilities like you do to do video. You'll have to teach me your ways.
Sure.
Um, so again, like there's been just inspiring people that I've met through LinkedIn,
Yes.
through other people I know on LinkedIn. It's just kind of got word of mouth through the grapevine,
Yeah.
and and then people in my life who I know are making a difference. And it's fun to recognize the people who are in your community
It is.
and doing that good work and celebrating that and thanking them. And um, I know someone said to me, "You're doing good by just sharing their story."
Oh, I
Uh,
like that.
yeah,
Yeah. That I like that a lot. Mm, yeah. I wondered, Jen, so you talked about the guests, coming across them on LinkedIn or people in your own life. Um, if it's someone that you don't know, you know them maybe on LinkedIn, what is your approach to them? Because
yeah,
I have an approach, and sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. So that's the logistical piece. What challenges may come from filling your guest pipeline and so forth.
Yeah, so there's some people who I don't like, will have a preliminary conversation, talk with them. You kind of have to vet them and be sure that they're telling the truth, that they
Um,
really are doing something impactful. Um, and so I know I have, there have been people where I haven't had them on my show. I didn't feel like it was a good fit.
yeah.
Um, but for the most part, people who find me really are wanting to share their story. And I'm really excited about some of my upcoming guests. I already recorded one, and just it's in the editing phase.
Okay.
And I have three other conversations coming up this month. So it's coming out very soon, season
Awesome.
number 4. Um, yeah, I've had really the best guests. Just having that opportunity to interview people, and my only wish, and it's on my goal list for 2025, is to do another 50 episodes so that I am releasing more frequently.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. I think I've talked to a couple of the people that will be guests coming up, and in the past, some of them have also had a podcast, and for a variety of reasons, like I couldn't sustain it. So for you to be embarking on season 4 with 50 already done, and you're hoping for another 50, that's a testament to your commitment to our community, and I think also it feeds you as well. Like I imagine, like as you talked about, like there's a joy that comes, and it's kind to share these people's stories. So keep up that good work.
Thank you so much. That's so nice to hear. Yeah, like you said, I am selfish because I do enjoy it. And
Yeah,
I believe thank God I'm hardwired to give, because the benefits for myself are really important. And there is about that impact in helping our fundraising community and our world,
yeah,
um, and volunteers. My main goal is really, like I said, increasing this volunteer statistic.
yes, that's awesome. Yeah, dynamite. Well, Jen, we have just a few minutes for this last question, and I think I wasn't quite aware of maybe a connection to it when I was writing out the questionnaire for you. Um, but now knowing a little bit more about your career history and that pivot to spending more time with your family, there may be a tie-in. So I like to get quotes from random other sources, and this one today is from the prolific late author Ray Bradbury, Fahrenheit 451 and All Summer in a Day, and a few other books that people may be aware of. He once observed that, quote, if you feel like you're living a story for success written by somebody else, you very well might be. And if that's the case, there's value in pausing and letting yourself dream about writing your own story for what success might look like. End quote. So, in your experience, does that quote resonate with you? And if so, how does it, please?
It really does. And I want to thank you for sharing that quote. It really allowed me to think about what my definition of success is.
Yeah.
And my definition of success is, how am I helping others?
I love it.
I think when you're younger, maybe you define success by your career path
Yeah.
and moving up the ladder. And as I became, like I said, became a mother, that my definition of success really changed there.
Sure.
And stop, like that was my new vision and goal for my life, to be a mother,
Yeah.
and will remain my highest priority. And the things that I, pray about at the end of the day is my children, and how, and their community, and the things that I'm doing to support the community, and the things that they're doing to support their friends,
Yeah.
and raising up that next generation who are going to be the do-gooders and change makers and kind people of the world.
Oh, that's such a worthwhile goal. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that, Jenn.
Thank you so much for having me on this show. It's my pleasure.
Yeah, it's been a real delight. It's been such a heartfelt, sincere conversation, and I appreciate all of the different avenues you are pursuing to spread the message of kindness and volunteerism and giving back to our communities. So it's been a real pleasure to talk with you and to share your story with our community, Jenn.
Thank you for being so open and asking such great questions.
My pleasure. And let's stay in touch. I'm excited to see how the next season develops and if you have potentially another book in the works and all else.
Thank you. Yes, I hope to have another book coming out next year.
Wow. Awesome. Well, stay tuned, everyone. Well, thank you for your time today, Jenn, and to our audience, thank you for watching and listening to these people in fundraising conversations. Again, I really like what Jenn said. Like this is a way to give back and being kind by sharing other people's stories. So thank you for kindness in your own way by amplifying these stories and watching and listening. You can find Jenn's conversation across our channels in early December of 2024. And thank you all for your support. Have a good rest of your day, Jenn.
Thank you.